I remember when somebody said to me some years ago, why do you call yourself a feminist? Why don't you just say that you're a humanist? And I said, calling myself a feminist, of course, doesn't mean that I don't realize that um, everyone in the world has suffered. You know, men have suffered, but I think it's my recognition that women and girls have historically been excluded, diminished, oppressed. And to call myself a feminist is to say that we need to do better collectively. And so I want to talk about two young women today. The first one, her name is Owavera. Her name was Owavera Omozua. She was 22 years old. She was a student at the University of Benin in Nigeria. She was raped and murdered just 2 weeks ago. Another woman, actually a girl, not a woman, she was 12 years old. Her name was Farishna. She was from Jigawa State in Nigeria. She was raped by 11 men. And I want to start by talking about them because I think it's important to talk about language. What I've noticed in the reactions to these horrific rapes is that there's a language around rape and sexual assault of women that we really need to start to think about and talk about. What language do we give girls to talk about their bodies? What language do we give boys to talk about what girls and women represent in our societies? I think that there is an epidemic of male entitlement towards female bodies. It's a global epidemic, and it's something that we need to address. When I was growing up, I don't think I had the language to talk about. Had I been the victim of sexual assault, I would not have known how to talk about it. The word for vagina in my language, Igbo, is loaded with shame. And if you're a good girl, you're not supposed to know that word. And so it matters how we teach girls to talk about these things, because if they don't have the language, then they don't feel equipped to talk about what's happening to them. But it's not even just about the language. It's also about how we as a society react to girls and women talking about assault. And it's not just men. I think it's also important for all of us to acknowledge that it's men and women that seek to silence women and girls who talk about their experiences. We live in a culture that diminishes women, and so both men and women participate in that culture. There have been so many really disappointing views from Nigerians asking questions like, what was the girl wearing when she was raped? Or what was she doing where she was? As though what she's wearing or what she was doing somehow justifies her having been raped. And so I think it's important for us to really start to question, interrogate the language that we use, how we talk about these things, because how we talk about things really matters. We need to find ways to make talking about these things both ordinary and heroic. We need to say to young boys before they become men that they do not have any entitlement to women's bodies. And we need to tell girls before they become women that their bodies belong to them. And of course, it's all easy to say because it's very complicated. But I think even interrogating the ways in which we use culture, that word culture, the ways in which we use culture to evade